Welcome to Two in a Pew. I'm so excited to welcome this guest. He is a Nashville singer-songwriter and entrepreneur, and the founder and creator of the Strum app, which is a booking app that connects artists and venues together. It's really exciting. I'm really excited to talk about it. I want to welcome Shane Sniteman. Thank you so much for doing this, Shane.
That was great.
I'm so glad you're here.
Thank you.
Talking about faith and creativity for this podcast, I feel like creativity is something that allows us to see an obstacle as opportunity and to kind of take that wider lens view. Oftentimes, the bigger picture when we see a need or run into an issue personally, sometimes we take that wider lens view as a big picture that we can help others with it. I see that happen all the time with people that are that just see an obstacle in a creative light, taking it and making it an opportunity. And I feel like the more I learn about you, that's something that you've definitely done, and your entrepreneurial spirit that you carry around with you, because you started as a performing artist, singer-songwriter, and ultimately that led you to your current venture with Strum. So why don't you tell us a little bit about your songwriting past, current, present, songwriting present, I should say, your current songwriter, artist, just your music life leading towards where you are right now.
Awesome. Yeah, I grew up playing drums and then started dabbling with keyboard, after a couple years of that, and then started playing guitar, and that was all through high school, college, playing in bands and things like that, working at music stores. So I always wanted to do that, but growing up in South Carolina, a super small town, you have no idea how to go out and do music, right? What does that even mean? Where do you play? So after college, I got a traditional finance accounting job. That was a couple years. And after two and a half years, I kind of got very bored with that. And just sitting at the desk, I felt like, I was dying to get out and work on music or figure out something else that, stirred some creativity or passion. And so what got me out of that was wanting to go developing code. And I was like, well, this is taking off. I want to go learn how to do that. So I ended up just saving enough through that job to quit and just give myself a year that I could go and just live super lean, learn how to develop and code apps and things like that. At that time, though, I was also trying to play shows, and I would walk down to the Mexican restaurant. Hey, do you have live music here? And they would say, who are you? And so
what are you doing here?
Yeah, exactly. What are you doing?
Chips and salsa.
Exactly. And I would say, well, I have a PA system, and I work down the street. Could I come in and play some acoustic songs or whatever, get my chops up, and I can bring in some coworkers and things like that. And this was all at the exact same time that I was finishing that job and then kind of stepping into going to develop. And so I started playing these shows, started at the Mexican restaurant, would play once a week there. And then I started getting more confident in playing. So then I would go down the street to a bar and college bar. Hey, can I play on your worst day that you have, and get some chops there. And it was always the same thing. It was, what's your music? Can you send us videos? Can you, all this stuff. Right. And so I saw this pattern of trying to play shows, and it was getting super, super hard. And at that intersection of starting to play shows, seeing a problem, and then learning to code as well, I was like, what if I started this idea of an artist has a profile, a venue has a profile, you can see calendars, you can see information and search each other, and not really have to do the whole cold calling and things. And so I created a very, very bare bones app as my project, and that ultimately got me to Nashville because a company in Nashville that was developing apps for music festivals hired me.
Okay.
When
nice.
seeing my app on the App Store. So
after seeing your app that you had put out. Okay.
Yeah.
Amazing.
And we were messaging back and forth, and I came up for an interview, and I said, well, this is super weird because as I was playing shows in South Carolina, I was playing shows in Atlanta and doing kind of like the Southeast, like small bar gigs and things like that. I was like, I've always wanted to do the Nashville thing, but again, how do you do it? Right? If you're not in Nashville, like how do you, that idea and that dream seems like so daunting.
Yes, it does. I love that you said that your steps, because we were talking about a little bit earlier, and oftentimes either in our faith journey or in creative ventures, sometimes just taking that brave step is the most creative or faith-driven thing that you can do, is just being like, I'm taking a brave step. But brave steps don't always mean you're taking a giant leap from point A to point 75.
Exactly. Yes.
Sometimes it's those little small ones and that daunting idea of like, I want to be way, way there.
Yep.
How do you get there is those little small steps. And every time you were talking there about Mexican restaurant, then from there to the worst night at the bar, those are seemingly small but pretty strategic steps you were taking, would you say?
You're learning that. And I mean, I think the biggest step that I took was I was in a great job. Like it was a great accounting firm, global firm. I had a career track that I could have just stayed at for 30 years, right? And I remember my parents being like, why, quitting off the cusp is it's hard, right? It's like hard to figure out. So like save up some money so that you have some buffer, right? To figure out what your next step is. And it's weird because taking that step, I think a lot of people just say, go for it, right? But like you can go for it. And then if you have nothing there, it's like, it's just really hard. So like I said, well, this next year I have enough to pad myself that I've worked hard for. I'm going to figure this out. And then when you actually take that step, I'm like, I have to develop something because if I'm going to try to make a living coding and software or the music scene, like I have to figure something out, right? And so it was very stressful, but it was like 20 hours a day. If I wasn't playing music, I was learning how to code this app. And at the time it was called Get a Gig. Now it's Strom, which I can explain, but it's crazy. And then that got me a job in Nashville and I moved up here in like a weekend. So
amazing. So once you got into Nashville, you had your job, which was really inspired by something you had already created, but it happened to fit in with this job, got you here. Is that kind of when did you start co-writing with people around here, or how did it go with songwriting at the same time as working this other position?
Honestly, when I moved here, I was just doing like the writers around thing because I was working 8 to 5 every day. But the job that I was doing, I was building the apps for music festivals. So I did like the Bonnaroo, the Coachella, the CMA, all those apps that you do your schedule. That was the job that I had. And so I felt this, it's weird because I felt like I'd made it in the sense of like what I wanted was technology and music. And those are the two things that I love. And so I found that job that I was doing both. What that did though was teach me a lot about tech stuff, getting my chops up and developing more, and then allow me to be here. And I had moved into East Nashville with like 6 musicians that I didn't know, super hectic, but just around it and living that, just moved to Nashville lifestyle, right? You're at a writer's round every single night. You're playing music with your roommates and you're trying to write and things like that. But, so that was for a couple of years. I just had to do that. But I didn't really just write until honestly a few years ago, like take it seriously. So yeah. Yeah.
Balancing, 'cause I think a lot of people that are in the music industry, understand the different steps and phases you go through of either working odd jobs and trying to
Yeah.
sing or write or picking up, if you're a guitar player, picking up literally any gig that will let you come play and pay you, some money for it, at the same time as trying to stay afloat. And because of that, it can take a negative connotation sometimes of having, or families might say your backup plan or your whatever. But what you've kind of done is use two skill sets that you have to work together to support each other. Your life as a musician has inspired the technology side, and your life in this kind of coding world of seeing the way that apps work for different festivals and the ins and outs. I'm sure the good and the bugs or the bad things about it. Filtering back and supporting your music side of your life, really they seem to go so well together. And I feel like that can be encouraging to others that are, side jobs or other jobs or two main jobs at the same time don't have to be a struggle. It doesn't have to work against us. God kind of designs us with multiple skill sets in order to thrive, not in order to tear us down and bring us down and bog us down with too much. But sometimes that's a mindset shift away from thinking, whatever I do besides the main thing is going to take away, but it's changing that mindset of whatever I do can actually support what I need to do.
Yeah. And going back to when I was wrestling with leaving the accounting job, the reason why I picked coding at the time, because everyone that knew me was like, you're not a developer, you're, it's very technical and things like that. And I'm just not that way. Mm-hmm. And everyone's right. I'm not that way. But the reason why I wanted to do that is because I saw that coding gave freedom to do other things as well. So people at that time, this was 7 years ago, people at that time were able to, if they were a developer, they were able to work from home, or they could work different type of job or different type of hours. Like it wasn't this had to be sitting at the desk from this time to this time. And so I was like, that's attractive to me because I could also focus on music or figure out how to do both at the same time. Mm-hmm. And that's why I picked it. Mm-hmm. And so, yeah, you're right. I mean, that gave me the opportunity to like find a career that wasn't, didn't take up like those crucial hours, I guess, that I needed. Mm-hmm. I still was working, 8 to 5, but it was more of, I don't know. It gave this freedom of like, okay, when I finish that, I can go to a writer's round and things like that. Or if I needed to get my work done at night, I could, if I had to write in the morning, or I was able to leave on Friday morning sometimes and go play shows Friday night, Saturday night for other artists that I was working with. And that wouldn't have been allowed at my finance job.
Sure. Right.
If that makes sense.
Right.
So yeah. That's honestly why I picked it. So
with writing and developing your own circuit of shows and kind of tour schedule on your own, and then watching friends, co-writers, fellow artists working, how has that specifically helped you design this current app, which I know you started previously under a different name, but what is now Strum, which I just want to say, which we'll have this linked up, but it's STRUMN. Strum, with this app, like how is it specifically tailored by watching your friends, by your own touring experience specifically?
I mean, it's just so hard at that, the very beginning level all the way up to like even like mid to high level now, like to find where the gigs are open, or like where in a different city could you play your music and it fit, or even like places, you may find a place and like it's too big for you, or maybe it's too small for you, or maybe it doesn't fit the right scene or whatnot. And so I wanted to find a way where you can search, like, give me, if I'm a country artist, let's say, give me all country venues in Atlanta, Georgia that have an opening date of this, right? And so their calendars are public on their profile. And so I can see the next available day. So on the flip side, I'm trying to help the venues and the booking agents from getting influx of artists reaching out from dates that are already closed, or, you know, artists also sometimes you could be a jazz artist and you're trying to play at a country venue.
Right.
It doesn't fit, right? So it's like, I'm trying to eliminate
jazzy country.
Yeah, all that. I'm trying to make the correspondence of it very simple. So you search each other, you can see each other's calendars, you can see each other's videos and photos, your EPK as an artist, your even to your rate, and when are you available or not available. And so then it cuts out a lot of the initial hard part of booking. And then what we're doing now is you can send contracts. You can set your payments on it, and it pays the artist straight bank account. So, you know, I saw when I was touring with some artist friends of mine, you know, sometimes getting the money before driving to the show is big. So now you can get paid 50% up front from the venue if you want. They can ACH pay you. And then I think the biggest piece is when artists start using this to play shows, I'm going to start tracking the data of where they're playing, right? So now we're building, the whole goal is to build artists at this ground floor level. Hey, you just played this writers round. You just played this one. Okay, now you're playing 4 writers rounds a week. Why can't we pitch you at a bigger venue in town, right? And so the whole idea is like making the artist's live music experience get better and better through the data that we have.
Sure.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, definitely. I love it so much. It's definitely a problem-solving app, I would say.
Yeah.
Or I don't know, problem might be harsh, but obstacle overcoming app for sure.
A huge problem. Yeah.
Yeah, that's amazing. I think I'm excited for it. Personally, I've been in music for forever, and there always is a bit of a glitch if you're any independent artist, but also venues. I know have had a lot of, especially like you said, those mid-level. Yep. There's a lot of, it can get kind of cumbersome with the way that you filter through artists and who's representing them, all of that. It gets really cumbersome. So I love this whole thing.
Yeah.
You had a time at one point that you did feel, I think you mentioned kind of COVID times, which we all struggled through those times, but times when you had to just kind of trust God and believe that you were going to land in the right spot or land where you needed to be through it. When you feel like trusting God is necessary, how do you go about that up against all odds? Because I feel like juggling 2 careers at the same time. Also, anyone with a creative mind, I know personally, has other things going on in their mind all the time too, different voices from the past, dreams for the future, all the different clutter that can really just get in there. What do you do in your own, kind of your prayer life or your own personal life that helps you get that trust solid and that helps you get your mind settled enough that you can be as productive as you are and that you can apply your gifting and your talents towards something so efficiently? Yeah.
It's very hard. I would say I'm going through it again right now because I think with the economy and raising money and things like that, I mean, I've been doing this for over a year as far as building, and our first round of investment has kind of has been going to that, right? So now we're raising again. I'm trying to have a whole new set of problems, right? I'm trying to get users to use it. And so even right now, I mean, even this morning, it's like, well, all day is set to working. And then tonight I'm going to, I have to go to a writer's round to meet with that certain venue, right? So it's like time is very limited for me right now. And then it's also, there's so much unknown because in a startup world, I mean, they say all the time, you know, it's like 9 out of 10 probably fail. And
Right.
so it's so uncertain that I just use the mornings. And so waking up a lot earlier and sitting down and like having quiet time over coffee when you're not being messaged by people or having meetings or feel like you have to be there like first thing. And then that's my main thing right now is morning time. And then going on walks in the afternoon and just kind of like clearing your head. Now, sometimes like the walks are with calls and things like that, but if they're not, you just try to like take a step back and, you know, you're like hoping and praying and you're like, let's just make this through. Right. So yeah, I would say those two things.
And you're pretty consistent with that, with your schedule?
Every morning. Yeah. And then that's what I've been doing is taking that time and then, have a dog now.
Oh, yeah.
And so he always wants to walk. My wife wants to walk. And so like, we'll go do that around, you know, 5-ish or something and walk for an hour. And those two things are always kind of in the day. So
yeah. Kind of your more grounding moments.
Yeah.
That's, I resonate with that very much.
Yeah.
You need that touch base to just settle your heart, settle your mind, and be prepared for when opportunities come your way.
Yep.
Part of what I love about your story, what you're doing, you're a great writer too. Like your creative side, and your creative side is your whole life now. It's not really a side. It's your life is a creative life, and so much of your story is about identifying opportunities instead of seeing them as roadblocks, really, from my perspective of listening to your story. And I love that. So inspiring. What would you say to anyone, anywhere, someone that's, you know, anywhere from like a stay-at-home dad to like a nurse practitioner to a entrepreneur or a musician? What do you think is the key to really staying open to seeing opportunities around you, not just in general, but that pertains to something that's for you? Because, you know, we all have our own gifting and not every opportunity is for us to step into because we are gifted differently on purpose. There's plenty of us gifted differently in order to tackle the world's problems. But what would you tell someone as far as staying open and finding those opportunities that present themselves that do match your gifting?
Yeah. I kind of go back to when I was young and the way I was raised from my dad. His mindset was always, whenever I wanted to do something new, he would provide, and he would always say, I will provide only the first thing. So if I wanted a drum set, he would go buy, you know, this is 10 years old, right? He would buy like a super beginner drum set. Or if I said, can I start playing guitar, you know, or I want to go play golf or whatever, or wakeboard or whatever. He was always saying, all right, let's go do it. Let's go do it. Because he taught me at a young age, like anyone can learn anything. So if you're wanting to do it, go try those things. Right. And so it still resonates with me today. It's like, I wouldn't say that I'm the best software engineer, right? But it's like I went and was like, I just want to learn this, right? So I just think anyone can learn anything, right? You know, you can, if you take the time and dive into it, like if something interests you, like go start doing it. And then I think the more that you get into it, you just start like diving further and deeper and deeper and deeper. And then sometimes that becomes like your new career or life, you know, thing that, you know, life path. I mean, and so I don't think anyone should just say like, I'm not this or I'm not that, right? Like that's not for me, or I wouldn't be good at that.
Right.
Like I think anyone should just try anything. You know, if you want to pick up a guitar, like there's YouTube videos now. Like,
Yeah.
start learning.
There's ways to do it.
Yeah. And so I think it's a lot easier nowadays to learn things.
Yeah. So do you feel like the more that you recognize opportunities in different areas, the more they present themselves to you?
Yeah. Yeah. I think. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that so much. I know I want to kind of finish by, I like to ask this question just because it touches my own heart. It's inspiring to me. All these conversations inspire me personally, but thinking about what you hope to just leave, not leaving this world necessarily, but just like what kind of impact you hope that you're doing. Asking you that, you have two specific things that you felt like you hope that you're leaving, and one is musical, and one is with this app in particular, maybe more going forward in life, but both had to do with helping others, and I thought that was really interesting and cool. Just the song and or any song, and the way that it would touch somebody, and then how this app or any app that you make going forward can help other people. Can you kind of speak towards that? Or
I think, man, the startup world has been so eye-opening and hard. Like, I don't think I would still be doing this if I wasn't passionate about the reason why I was doing it. So like, if it was just an app that I thought can make a ton of money or whatever, it's just hard building, right? I love it because, and what keeps me every day going is I've been on the side of the struggling musician and having to figure out what my next step is. And so if I'm able to ultimately build a community or help artists get more gigs and help artists get signed and showcase them, pitch them to other venues, get them on tours, get people discovered, because we would have all that data of, I would love one day for, an artist that's playing in Ohio, that's playing 200 shows a year that no one has seen yet because maybe he's not on TikTok or something, right? I can send to a management company or a label and say, look at this guy, like he's bringing out X amount of people, right? I think that I want to help. I'm just so drawn to music, and I still want to write all the time, but I also want to help other musicians and songwriters like try to get to where they're going. And so if I can do that with this technology, that's what keeps me building every day.
That's amazing.
So
I love it. Well, you're doing it. And so where can people find the Strum app, both and it's web and mobile?
Yeah. So you can just go to strum.com and you can sign in as a venue. You can sign in as an artist. We have an app, mobile app that should be on the App Store, but right now you can go on the web and just do it. Create profiles. You can start searching for gigs, start pitching them. If you our handles at Strum on Instagram, so we're posting like gig opportunities that start coming. So I'm working with venues now, and
awesome.
Yeah.
I love it so much. I really appreciate your time and just being here and talking about your faith and your creativity and just all of it. So I really appreciate you, Shane.
Yeah.
If you have time, head over to the Instagram page. We've got a little bit more of a clip to chat about. So make sure to head over to the Instagram page. Follow Shane on his socials, which are
Shane Sniteman.
Shane Sniteman. Find Shane Sniteman wherever you find Shane Sniteman, and the Strum app as well. And head to our Instagram page for more with Shane. And thank you for joining us for Two in a Pew Conversations on Faith and Creativity.